Well, hello, hello, Young and the Restless. Excuse me. Daily recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Friday, April the 7th, 2023. Friday, April the 7th. Well, we had some, I gotta laugh. Sally finished her meal. It's kind of like oh, let me text Nick and tell him my stomach is full. You know, so she puts the phone down. She sees Nate come in. Nate beckons him over. I need your professional opinion. He goes, well, I can give you some knowledge, but I'm not a practicing physician anymore. She goes, no, oh, I feel a little nausea and my stomach is fluttery. After I eat, I notice this fluttering and a little nausea and wondering if something's wrong with my baby. Okay, now for all you mothers out there, as soon as she said, I'm feeling fluttering in my womb, really, in the womb, what was the first thing that came to your mind? The first thing that came to your mind. Now, realistically, Sally is already out of her third trimester. She got pregnant in December. This is April. She should be showing more than they're having her show, right? But anyway, as soon as she said it, I thought, the baby's moving. What? You're getting the little flutterings of the baby. Somebody get this chick a book called So You're Having a Baby. Or even, there's a book out there, Having a Baby for Dummies. Having a Baby for Dummies. You did not pick up one book and read up on what you feel in the first trimester, what happens in your second trimester, what happens in your third trimester. Because see, you're so busy looking at Nick, because see, Nick, I've been through this many times, Sally. I'll walk you through all of this. Did Nick forget to walk you through that? You're so busy waiting for something to come out of Nick's mouth versus picking up a stinking book. Even go online, Sally. Read. I had so many baby books, and look, my son is 41 this year, my oldest. 41 years ago. All the baby book. You want to know, and not just baby books. You want to know what your doctor gives you? Doctor gives you information. Doctor gives you pamphlets. The doctor even lets you know what's happening. Is she not paying attention? Is she not? Because the doctor will say, okay, you're in this trimester, this is what's going to start to happen. And on your appointments, are you feeling the baby move? And she'd be like, well, what does that feel like? Fluttering? Like you got little butterflies in your stomach? You're like, who's that? Yeah, fluttering. Sally, fluttering. And so Nate's like, okay, you're probably eating big meals. And you can see she had, oh yeah, she named everything she ate. He goes, now, you're feeding yourself, you're getting bursts of energy from the food, and the baby's eating, getting a burst of energy. And now, hey, that syrup was good. Hey. And she's like, so, I find I have to get up and walk around. And he's like, yeah, walking around. He goes, and what's also happening is you're rocking your baby. She's like, oh, like rocking him. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for giving me this information. Read for yourself. That's the only thing I have to say. You want knowledge for yourself in your pregnancy. Pick up a book, Sally. Right now, do you know nowadays they have phenomenal apps nowadays that tell you every this is how many weeks you are, this is what you can expect. My daughter, she had my first grandchild, and actually my first and only grandchild, who will be 5 this summer. So 4.5 years ago, she had the app, pregnancy app, even though she also had her mama telling her what was going on, right? But she had an app. I just shook my head. I shook my head in disbelief. That's really what I did. I almost wanted to say, Sally, do you know where the baby's going to come out from? Do you know? You know what's entailed in having a baby, physically delivering a baby? You know? Well, you didn't know labor meant pain. You're working to get this child into this world. And I'm talking about the hardest work of your life that you've ever clocked in one day is the day you give birth to your child. Because sometimes it starts the day before. My labors were never that long, trust me. 3 hours, bam. Now, 3 hours from the final part. I was one that believed in staying home, walking around. I didn't want to be strapped to a bed. By the time I get to the hospital, 3 hours are under gone, right? But anyway, that child really gonna need her Lamaze classes. And now on to the next topic. Next topic is Abby finds Chance at Crimson Lights, and she lets him know she'd been looking for him. She gets the little niceties out the way. Thanks for, really helping the family, with the Phyllis situation. And he's like, just doing my job, Abby. Just doing my job. You don't have to thank me. And so then he goes, what nice running into you. He's getting ready to book. She goes, Chance, there's something I need to tell you. So she tells him that Devon asked her to move into his place with Dominic. And she wanted to talk to him first about it. And he's like, you didn't have to talk to me about it. That's your decision. Excuse me. Still got this cough going on. All right, I had to cough that out. But anyway, she says that no, he goes, you don't have to get my permission. You and Devon are gonna do whatever you're gonna do. I figured you all would be getting together. And she goes, well, no, I wanted to talk to you because I don't want, it to get more awkward than it is. And he goes, what do you mean awkward? With hand for visitations and bringing Dom and all. He goes, it's not awkward. And so Abby says, Chance, the situation is awkward. It is. And I want to consider your feelings on the matter. I mean, she actually handled it very delicately to me. She actually went above and beyond to make sure Chance was okay. I applaud Abby for that, right? And she goes, because Nina, I will be moving out of the Chancellor house. And he goes, I told you didn't have to. She goes, it's your birthright. It's your family house. And I don't feel right me still being there. And so she goes, and your mother has expressed her feelings on me still being there. And Chance said, probably my grandmother will weigh in too. She goes, yeah, that too. She goes, but bottom line, Abby wanted to leave the Chancellor house when she and Chance were first broke up, right? I wouldn't want to be in that huge house alone. I wouldn't, especially a house that she's not that familiar with. Abby has her own 2-story house. Remember the Carlton house? The house that Brad left her, that Abby lived in for years. As a matter of fact, that's where Abby was living when she and Chance got together, in her own house. She owns it still. The furniture's just covered up, right? And so he says, well, yeah, it's my birthright, but it's also Dom's birthright. So Dominic is a chancellor as well. And she says, yes. And perhaps one day Dominic will choose to live in it. She said, but can we do this? Can we leave his room the same? So that this way he's just 100% familiar and comfortable when he comes over to stay with you. Because now she pretty much Chance is going to move back in. And so he goes, no, I agree. I feel that's the smooth transition. His stuff will be here, the room he's used to. Because I'm thinking, look, he ain't really staying in that room. He hasn't been in that room for a month or more. He's staying in his daddy's house. You are too, Abby, right? So that went well. She left, and Sharon ends up talking to Chance, and Chance tells her, she goes, oh, so what was that about? She saw them talking to Abby, and he tells her, he goes, she wanted to get my blessing on it. And she goes, that's interesting. And what did you say? He goes, I gave it to her. Why don't I care what they do? He goes, actually, she just wanted to make sure that I was okay with it. I mean, he was cool, right? So him and Sharon talk, and then we have Victoria. Victoria tells Victor, by the way, Victor's sitting behind the desk. She's giving him coffee. She takes the other cup to her mother. But he goes, oh, by the way, I saw you, you were talking to McCall the other day after I left. How did that go? She goes, oh, it went well. I told him that I was formally taking the offer for Newman Enterprises to buy McCall Unlimited off the table. And Victor said, wait, you did what? She goes, yeah, off the table. I'm no longer interested in it. And Nikki looked, and he goes, what are you talking about? You're no longer interested in it. She goes, no, I've weighed the pros, cons, what it would do for the business, what it would do for the family. That pass. And he goes, you know how much I was counting on that deal. And she says, and it's not going to ultimately be good for the family or the business because you want Adam to run it. And he goes, so you are explicitly going against my wishes. And Nikki is sitting there kind of stiffening up. And Victoria says, no, I am the CEO of this company. And I took a hard look at it. And I made a decision. It's not worth the headache it's going to bring. And she goes, if you want to hand, she goes, for one, I don't see why Newman Enterprises should buy a company and just give it to Adam. No. If you want Adam to have the company, buy it yourself, separate from Newman. Oh. And he goes, have you forgotten who put you in this chair? You forgotten that? And she just looked at him. She goes, put me in that chair for a reason. And she goes, and I don't feel you should have to just give Adam a company. And then Victor looked at her and said, you mean unlike I gave you this company? And Victoria looked but didn't want that to really sink in, right? You telling me I should not give a company to my son, but I gave this main company to you. And he looked at her, and she just looked at him. Like, that's that. So Victor just looked at, he didn't say anything because Victor, it's kind of, like, okay, I see I'm gonna have to come about this another way, right? So he texted Adam, and Adam was talking to Sharon. Sharon told him about Phyllis, and Adam goes to meet him. And he tells him that Victoria is no longer interested in purchasing McCall Unlimited, through Newman Enterprises. And Adam looked at him as like, well, so what? What is what Victoria want? What is that? He goes like, what difference does that make? And so Victor said, she's the CEO. And Adam says, it's still your company. You can override her decision. And he says, but I'm not going to do that. And he goes, oh, of course not. See, and what Adam is also doing is remembering Victoria's little taunting words in his ear, saying, yeah, you think my father is going to buy a company and really hand it to you? Really? You think it's going to happen that way, Adam? You're delusional. Victoria made sure it wasn't going to happen, right? But Adam didn't tell Victor about that, right? So he should have said, you know what, Dad, I knew it wasn't going to happen because Victoria told me 2 days ago that there was no way you were really going to do it to begin with. And he would say, what do you mean there's no way that I wasn't going to do it? I absolutely was going to do that. No, she told me that you weren't about to do it, and I see you didn't. So she was right. He should have played now one in against the middle, but he didn't. He got indignant. I knew you weren't going to do that. I knew you were going to choose her over me. And I'm going to go my separate way. Because Victor says, look, we just hit a snag. Let me figure our way around this. Because Victor has enough money to just buy McCall. Except I don't know, how much money does Victor Newman have? He just gave Jill an undisclosed amount of cash as a silent private investor, right? In Chancellor Winters. So I don't know how much money, right? So Adam storms out. I will just figure out my own life and not worry about what you're going to give me. And I thought, grown man, you should. Grown man. And quite frankly, if Victor took Newman away from Victoria, what would Victoria do? See, all of these kids, Nick and Abby, are the only two that have actually gone out and started other businesses. The only two. Victoria wouldn't know what to do without already having a cushy company handed to her. A multi-billion-dollar conglomerate just handed to her. Yes, she has worked there ever since she could ride a bike to her daddy's job. Yeah. Victoria, he didn't start her at the top. She started from the bottom. Now she here. Okay. She did. I mean, was it even the mail? I don't know about the mail room, but I'm talking about bringing coffee around. I kind of think she and Ryan worked in the mail room years ago. When the Nina ended up marrying Ryan, I think they both worked in the mail room together, which is how Victoria and him hooked up for a minute, right? Yeah, he didn't just give it to her. And then she had to prove herself because Victor always favored Nicholas. Even though Victoria's older, he always favored Nicholas for the CEO position, not Victoria. She had to fight tooth and nail for that. She really did. Adam has never put in the work anywhere long enough. But Adam did have his own hedge fund. When he first came to town, I mean, Adam graduated Harvard. I think he's the only one that went to college of Victor's kids. I really honestly believe it. Victoria, talk about that time she spent in Paris. She was a teenager, and she was in boarding school. Nick was in boarding school too, but ran away. Remember, he told Sally. They never went to any kind of higher education. Adam is the only one that did, which is how he has that conniving smarts of his own. Just, well, plus a little dark personality as well, right? So then, of course, he runs into Sally because he actually saw Abby and Chance on the patio. Because I think he may have been going to Chelsea's, but then he realized he didn't want to go that way. He didn't want to deal with them. So he was going to walk right back out the front door, and Chelsea stops him. And she goes, "Where are you going?" He goes, "No, I don't know, nowhere, anywhere." She goes, "Well, then if it's nowhere, anywhere, can you sit down and just sit down with me for a few minutes? Can it wait?" So he sat down, and they're just talking. She's actually gravitating. If you noticed, everybody's just me. She's gravitating to Adam more. She's talking to Adam. When she talks to Adam, she talks with Adam. Just talks with him. Nicholas, it's always about doom and brooding, problem, oh, me, oh, this, oh, that, no, you're good. Oh, Adam, it's just anything. It really is. And she was sitting across the table because he was talking about how, bottom line, he's in it for the long haul, and that's going to tie him and her together. And then he was saying it's going to be a boy. And she goes, "How are you going to just say this is a boy?" He said, "Because my track record, it's going to be a boy." She goes, "Maybe it's a girl." He says, "And I would love a girl." Right? So they're really talking like parents. And so she's just kind of looking down, but she's looking across the table, Adam, kind of under, like, he really is looking appealing to me. He is my baby's daddy. We can really talk. There's no stress. There really is no stress between them. There's more stress and strain between her and Nick than there is between she and Adam. Because she's giving him advice. She's like, "Adam, you're smart. Start your own company. Right? You can do it." So they had a good conversation. And then we had Devon and Lily. He called her over, and they were talking about, how's Daniel, and how she, gave him the update on what Daniel's up to. And then Devon told her that after what happened last night, it was really an eye-opening, and then they got the news on Phyllis. And he says, "You know what? I don't want to let time be wasted, because you and I both know we don't know how much time we have." It's a reminder of that. And I want to go ahead and give our partnership with Chancellor Winters a try again too. And Lily was like, "Wait, what?" And she was saying, "Look, you aren't making a hasty decision, right?" And he's like, "No, I'm not." And she goes, "But look, we're just getting back together again. What if a division starts to happen?" He says, "We won't let it, Lily. We won't let it. We both know how important we are to each other. We lost track and sight of that. We won't do that again." She goes, "No, okay, you're right. You're right. Do that again." So he's, going to commit to really trying to build a business. And in my mind, I'm thinking, where does that leave McCall? And Victor told Nikki that, what Adam said. And she goes, "Well, what does that have to do with McCall? Well, I mean, where does that leave McCall?" And so Victor said, "Well, perhaps Devon will buy McCall." And then what Nikki was saying is, from what I'm hearing, and I'm thinking, how did you hear it? But somehow it came out that Devon wants to make it work with Chancellor Winters. No, maybe Nikki said perhaps Devon will buy McCall, and Victor said Devon, is going to give Chancellor Winters another try. And Nikki's like, "Oh, well, how's that going to work?" Right? And Victor's like, "I don't know," because he's thinking now that Victoria's thrown a monkey wrench in. Now Victor's probably trying to think, How can I get my boy this company? So watch. Will Victor go to Devon and tell Devon that he feels it would be a good move for him to buy his father's Tucker's company? Right? And Devon might say, look, I've got enough on my plate. I'm going to be working things out with Lily. I would not have enough time to really make that company grow. And I was only considering it as a plan B for me. And what Victor might say is, I have a solution for you. Let my son Adam run the company. We'll see. Because he goes, you're accomplishing two things, Devon. You're still saving a family legacy, McCall Unlimited, you know? And Adam is a formidable businessman. And when you look at it, Devon and Adam don't have any animosity between them. They haven't had any bad dealings between them. Devon does know that Adam is self-destructive. But if I had to pick, even though Adam has done some devious things, right? Billy is less reliable in the corporate world. Billy would make less of an impact. Like Billy could not run McCall Unlimited. Billy could not. He doesn't have it. Adam could run that company and make it flourish. Right? So we shall see. We'll see. Victor says, look, he told Nikki, after what happened to Phyllis, if it's one thing that I've learned, is I'm going to keep my family close. And he looked at her, he says, and that includes my son, Adam. And she didn't, she's like, okay. See, because Nikki, she does. She puts her little digs in against Adam. She always has. Always. Right? Because he goes, Adam is upset. He says I should override Victoria's decision. Well, you're not going to do that, are you? She's always made Adam, can I say this? The bastard child. I can say that. She's always done that. Right? So, but he let her know, no. Oh, I'm reconnecting. I'm going to do something for him. So good. But she says, as long as it ain't Newman Enterprises, because I want to be able to walk into Newman Enterprises and see my son and my daughter. And you, not Adam, right? So we shall see, ladies and gentlemen, we shall see what happens, where it goes. That could be interesting because if you ask me, the Tucker McCall line is storyline is dwindling. It really is. It's dwindling a bit. So we shall see what happens. I mean, miraculously, I don't know, will Devon just buy the debt from Abby until Tucker start over again? I mean, run it right this time. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. So let's go to comment corner. Libby says, it was interesting the way Stark got excited when describing to Phyllis about starting a new life and being anyone she wanted to be. For him, that was freedom and an adventure. He had nothing and no one to leave behind. That really was a window into his life and personality. That is so true. I don't think it's unreasonable that Phyllis didn't think far enough ahead. She is so impulsive. She didn't need to sell the Grand Phoenix to go and work for Jabot to undermine Diane. She did not know she didn't. I don't know why she did that. They had her do that. Maybe Phyllis will come back and throw Stark under the bus, saying he extorted her to do this by threatening her family. And you're right, Friday isn't a cliffhanger. Total snooze fest. Thanks for another fun recap. You are welcome, Libby. Oh, by the way, subscribe to this YouTube channel. And then Monique says, glad Victor reminded Victoria how she got the company. That's right. Hot entitled child calling the other pot entitled child black, you know. And then Libby says, uh, says, me too. Victoria needs to get off her high horse and put it in a stable sometimes. That was funny, Libby. You know, so those were the comments from Comment Corner. We will be back next week. Let's see what's going to happen on The Young and the Restless next week. Phyllis is going to attend her own service. We all know that. Come on now. She wouldn't be Phyllis unless she did that. So I'll be back next week.